Hey everybody, TacticAngel here, back on the PlayStation 4, playing some World of Warships Legends. We're on straight. We're going to take another look at the Boise today, and that is mostly because the video I put up had some gameplay attached to it. You know, decent gameplay, just trying to give you a feel for the average amount that this ship might be able to do, and some of its strengths and weaknesses. This is going to be really much more the Boise in its element. I'm going to go ahead, pop my commander up on the screen while we're getting into position. As you can see, I am moving towards this island because as a light cruiser, islands are your friend. And this is a lot of what the Boise does. Now, that's not all that different than what a ship like the Atlanta might do. So maybe not always the most intriguing of gameplay, but you do play an important part when it comes to damage over time and just annoying everybody who's playing against you. Now, we do start to have some ships in our view. We see that Baron over there. Not exactly sure what direction he's going. As you can see, I guessed backwards. The correct answer was not backwards. And so second shot out there, much better than the first. We start landing some shells. I had kind of committed to moving forward before I really engaged these guys, so now that I am moving forward, I am going to basically continue to do that. As you can see, I've chosen a stealth build here on the Boise rather than any sort of other equipment. I run into another ship. We've all seen this happen before, right? On this channel, in person, etc. So it looks like that Baron is starting to make a move up towards the cap. Obviously, I am staying over here because on straight, annoyingly enough, you kind of have your cap immediately under threat. I do hope they rework where the spawns are on these so that it's not the case. We slow down so we can get a sight on that Benson, but in slowing down we noticed that we may have made ourselves kind of a big target for this Fuso, so we were actually kind of lucky to get away without taking just a ton of damage there. We give him a shot right on the nose, sets his bow on fire, and unfortunately we are behind an island, so we can't see him anymore. And one of the weaknesses of the Boise is, of course, its vision. It doesn't have a vision consumable other than the hydroacoustic search, which obviously is used mostly for trying to spot torpedoes. Now, I want to play a good teammate, and if my teammate makes a move on this Baron, I want to be able to support him. I am getting in that position when the Benson spots me again. I suspect the Benson's going to start moving forward. Somewhere else, I kill something. That's clearly all skill, you know. You saw it. That was definitely the Fuso. Just burning to death, I guess. We've got some danger in the water. The easiest way to get through this is to drive through that wide gap in the spread. Now I'm getting closer to a Baron than I would ever suggest that you do intentionally. But this is when, as a light cruiser, you want to start increasing your damage by targeting specific parts of the ship. There you see I was trying to hit him right on the nose to get his bow on fire, and now I'm going to try to get the stern. We get a second fire on the middle when the Benson pops out again. I'm not sure if he has torpedoes, so I'm going to start turning in, just assuming that he did. Make my profile as thin as possible. The Baron is moving in on me. That's not great, but I think I just got a little bit rattled getting this close to a Baron. It is a tier down, but as you can see, its secondaries do quite a good job with a ship like me. And I'm getting chewed up, yeah, pretty bad here. We are once again trying to set his ship on fire as much as possible. We've got, it looks like 3 fires on the ship. We're going to try to target his bow. We do hit it a lot of times. Not a whole lot to talk about there, but I think the shots were a little low. There we go, our second salvo. We managed to get the 4th fire on the ship, and he's also got torpedoes inbound. Just gross. Lots of damage, lots of fire. And that's a lot of what you're going to try to do in the Boise under ideal circumstances. Now you notice, since I was a battleship, even though I have 152s, I wasn't really going to chance bouncing or shattering on his hull. The Baron in particular is a very well armored ship, so I wasn't expecting any citadels out of that. You guys can let me know if you've had better luck. Now I'm going to move into position again. I'm looking for an island, and obviously I've sped this up a little bit to not quite take up as much of your day. I have used my heal mostly because I know that my heal will heal a maximum of around 13,000 damage. Now, the reason why I used it is because I figured I'd end up in about the position I'm in right here, where I have 14,000 hit points, which means I'm basically just getting my last heal ready in case I need to use it. Because if I do need to use it, I don't want it to be on cooldown. I'm not going to get a lot more hit points out of this scenario if I had held on to that second heal. Just because due to the time and the amount of hit points, it's just not going to work out for me. So right now we're in a pretty decent position. We're shooting over another island, shooting at that Colorado. Obviously, we got 2 fires on him immediately. We're landing some more HE on him pretty consistently. And this is without, as you saw, a whole lot of specialization into accuracy, which is one of the things that I really like about the Boise. It's actually a pretty accurate ship, and especially compared to a ship like the Atlanta, it has pretty usable guns. Like, if you're at absolute max range, the shells are a bit floaty and it's hard to hit things a lot of times, just because you seem to pick up an extra second or so, or an extra tick more than you would expect in terms of how much you have to lead your shots. That's quite a bit better than the Atlanta, just because by the time something's over like 8K from you in the Atlanta, you're lobbing shots in there and you can miss all sorts of stuff if they're actively maneuvering. Now, the advantage of the Atlanta is obviously it has radar, which is fun. I actually think that a plane is a little bit more useful on the whole, but when you're hunting down destroyers and smoke, nothing quite competes with radar for pretty obvious reasons. Now we're finally starting to get into position. We see that Lyon over there. Once again, our job is to try to set him on fire, which we have done. We don't want to get too much attention here. I actually drift quite a bit further than I want out into view, which is not great. At this point, I have a couple of options. I could continue and try to get behind this island that they're really close to, but that Colorado is going to jump around the other side and be able to shoot me pretty quick here. If we can tack on an extra fire to that Lyon, that would be good. He has already used a damage control, so that fire would stick. Now this Colorado looks suspiciously like he wants to ram a significant landmass, which he does. I hold my shot for just a second so I can maybe land some extra hits, but I mean, you saw how that worked out. Or didn't. Mostly didn't. We have a fire on the Colorado. We're going to see if he's the type of player who puts one fire out. So we're going to switch over to Leon for just a moment. Get some nice big hits on him. The Leon does not have a ton of armor anywhere. So our HE is a little bit more effective. There you see we have set a couple of extra fires. And at this point we are making a pretty significant maneuver. We see somewhere in the middle of that he shot at us. He casually does 3,400 damage, which is, not cool. But we managed to survive. We stayed narrow with our aft straight towards him, just so that he wouldn't get the opportunity to hit a bigger target. So what I've done here is I've essentially disengaging, because if I'm not shooting with the stealth build, he can't see me. I can go look for some more cover and re-engage at a time that's more to my advantage. Now, there's a decent chance that I'm going to have to do that, because as you notice, we are down by a couple of points due to people sitting in my cap. Now, it is evening out, but still, the draw is only as good as a loss in the game, and so we need to contribute. I'm moving up on this island so that I can get back into the game. As we near it, I figure they don't have enough time to actually reacquire me and shoot me before I'm in cover, so I let loose on the Colorado. I get a fire immediately. I let loose on the Leon. We're hoping for the same thing. I'm going to stay on the Leon for just a second here, because it would be the better of the two for me to shoot at, just because it has less armor everywhere, particularly, I think, in its superstructure. Since it's also sailing broadside to me, that's a nice, juicy target. And there you see we break 100,000. We've hit the high caliber. We got a second fire going now on the Colorado. He better watch himself. That's a lot of torpedoes. Looks like he did pretty well, taking only one torpedo hit. That forces him to use his damage con, which is fine for us, because now he is definitely the better of the two to shoot for at least a few seconds. Unfortunately, I am not paying enough attention. I'm starting to sail actually out of range. And here's where you kind of see where the shells are a little floaty. Ordinarily, I would lead this around 4, maybe 5 ticks. I was leading by about that much, and I'm just barely catching the back half of the ship, where normally I would be expecting to hit right around the middle. So, I mean, it's a little floaty. It's a lot more controllable and a lot further range than what you can get with the Atlanta. So I think it still has that going for it. And we see the time finally ticks down. The battle ends. Here you see we end up doing 119,000 points of damage, which is a pretty respectable game. Definitely quite a bit above average. We walk away with 574,000 silver on 3,339 base XP. If you can pull this kind of game, we'll go ahead and look at the economics. Pretty good. Once again, that first screen doesn't really tell you the whole story. In fact, sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. I can't really tell you. In any case, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little replay, and I'll see you guys on the next one.